Good morning, Gemini, or good afternoon, depending on where you're watching. It's great to see you. Thanks for your patience this morning as I was getting everything set up here. I want to welcome everybody and let you know what's going on here if it's your first time. This is a monthly reading where I take a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks. It can be used for any aspect of your chart, including Sun, Rising, Moon, and Venus. I also will dig a little bit deeper into Sun, Rising, and Moon if you stick around right after the midpoint, so I hope you do that. Also, this is an auspicious time to be doing a reading. It's a full moon. It's the wolf moon as well. I'm going to be doing a separate reading later today. I had pre-recorded one and I'm like, no, I'm going to do it live. So I think I'll do a mini live later where it's just 5-card pull, probably in the afternoon. But keep an eye on the channel for more information for that. And actually, to that end, if you haven't already hit the like, subscribe, and the bell icon, please do that so that you can be updated whenever I do new videos. Normally I have a pretty consistent start time, but as I've been reminding folks, I barely moved into this place. I've been kind of unpacking, and part of that actually includes putting some new decks into rotation, or some old decks into rotation. So make sure you vote for the one you'd like me to use today. I've listed some right in the chat area. All right, if you'd like to follow me across social media for reminders, news, and updates, I'd love for you to do that. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, on all the major platforms, which are right here. There's a couple of exceptions, and you'll see those on my website. A quick note, especially TikTok right now has multiple accounts that aren't mine. Remember that I don't offer private readings. I don't use direct messages, and I'm not going to send a friend invite. So if anybody's doing any behavior like that, block them, let me know, and stay safe. If you'd like to show some love and support, you can do that through SuperStickers, SuperChat, memberships, and even the thanks button on replay. Okay, so again, we're going to begin here with channeled messages. I had a lot of dream energy coming through last night for you, and I'm just breaking it down into 3 major sort of totems here, or pieces of advice from the dreams, and we're going to talk about that now. So this is channeled messages, and again, the channeled messages include spirit totems. Let's go ahead and pull up the presentation right now. So the first thing that I saw was a tree that it almost had anthropomorphic or like human-like qualities to it, where at first I thought it was the branches, but it wasn't. There were like vines coming down from the tree that were trying to sort of like reach for things, reach for opportunities, and even reach me. And so we'll talk about that sort of I would say there's a dependency and a codependency between the tree and the vines, which is kind of interesting, and a competition. So lots of things to unpack with that first combination. The other thing I saw was mountains and skiing. So particularly for some of my European or any of my friends that are in northern hemispheres where it's there's inclement weather or it's kind of snowy right now, this could relate to you and maybe some of your holiday plans. But we'll talk about also the metaphors between mountains and sort of the energy of skiing, which is movement. All of these things actually portend good things for the most part. Let's get into the first slide here. So there was a lot to unpack on this. When I was thinking of the trees and the vines, trees in and of themselves are really good totems to come through for us. This was not a specific type of tree. It's winter. I couldn't really tell because there were no leaves on it. But the vines were still alive for whatever reason. And to me, the tree represents a period in your time where you're going to kind of like dig your heels in and say, this is something that I want to do. It's about getting grounded. It also is about reaching, and we've been talking about this as well, having a stretch goal. Around the New Year's readings, I was talking about all of that. So it's always good to have one thing that you're reaching a little bit for, one thing that can really ground you and you're going to do well at. And a tree represents almost like magician energy, because it is both, right? It's reaching from the sun and it's pulling from the earth, and it's in the middle. It's basically the channeling energy. The vines on the tree are an interesting sort of metaphor for our interdependencies, our codependencies, and our competition sort of energy. And that was the highlighted word here. Because sometimes the two are competing for resources. And if a vine gets too aggressive in its growth pattern, it can actually end up killing the tree that it's growing on, and that's counterproductive because they both kind of need each other. And so I was thinking about what would this relate to in tarot? Well, basically 2 different cards, 5 of Wands and 7 of Wands. 5 of Wands is the work that we have to do every day. Sometimes even just feeling like we're going through the motions. Seven of Wands can be competition. If I'm pulling a card and someone says, I'm trying to get a job, how did I fare? I would say there's been a lot of competition for this position. You're going to have to do something. You're going to have to show your star power. We'll have to do something to kind of stand out from the crowd. So for some of you, it could be sibling rivalry. It could be competition in a workplace. It could just be people in your life that have a hard time letting you shine, or they need to constantly get that attention. So we're getting that constrictive energy, that competition energy. And what I really thought about in the long term is when it comes to environments, this can be school, this can be a job, and absolutely it can be a relationship. A little bit of healthy competition is good. It's good to kind of be inspired and see if you can both bring the best out of each other. But if it ever goes into the unhealthy competition where, for instance, you're pitted against each other at work and they're saying, whichever team doesn't do well, we're going to cut or something like that. Or, you're not doing as well as this person. I don't like you as much. It's like all of these sort of conditional sort of situations, that's not really in the long term something that you can sustain. So this is encouraging you to focus on the healthy part of this. And if you're not in an environment that's supportive, then it might be time to reevaluate why you're putting so much time and energy into something that doesn't lift you up, that doesn't support you, and that creates unnecessary tension. I always like to think, why can't there be a mutually beneficial outcome? Does it have to be win-lose? It doesn't always have to be, unless it's like a sports game or something like that. There are certain things where of course, there's going to be a competition, there'll be a winner and a loser, but in life, it's not that clear cut. It's a shade of gray. Sometimes when you win, you lose. Sometimes when you lose, you win. So let's try to find the middle ground and see if we can both benefit from something. And that's the main energy that I was getting from these two competing sources. What I liked about the vine, if I had to find some cool things here, is first of all, it finds a way. Vines will twist and turn, and they can find a way. They are flexible. They are also able to reach further than even the tree can because they don't need to sustain as much. So you might find yourself between these two metaphors or trying to get a little bit more flexibility in your life, just not at the expense of someone else, and vice versa. If someone else is trying to do something and you feel like you're not being appreciated, this is just validating all of that, okay? Be easy on yourself, be easy on others, and try not to focus so much on win versus lose in this period of time. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to pick up on this, or I wanted to talk about a little bit, was basically rapid growth period here. So this is a time for you where you might be feeling like, I'm going to go 110% and just keep going until there's a reason to stop. I think that this could also lead to burnout. So what would be really good right now, and the Hierophant sometimes can feel like it's a constricting card, but it's good when it comes to creating a structure that you can depend on. So plan it out. We're in a retrograde right now if you're watching this live, even though this is for February. And even if you're out of a retrograde, planning is still a good thing. But if you're watching it live, what you can do right now is research, analysis, and planning based on your learnings from the data and say, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And really get clear on why you're going to do it as well. These tangible goals are going to help you create a firm foundation. And there might be things that you need to cut back or prune a little bit so that they don't go overboard. You may just have too many things on your schedule. You may just be feeling a little bit burnt out. Whatever it is, whatever you need to do, that organization, that structure, and that I would say it's good sometimes to really be sort of fully thought out. There's a time where you can wing it, and there's a time where that just leads to kind of like sloppiness. So like cooking, there's a little bit of experimentation that you do, but there are certain ingredients that you need, for instance, to make bread rise. You're going to need some yeast. You're going to need some baking soda. You're going to need certain things, flour. If you omit a key ingredient, it's going to fall short of expectations. What you can add in the realm of spices and other things, that's fine. But there's like key ingredients to certain things that have to happen. So really be mindful of what you need and mindful of what you don't need, and then you'll find the wiggle room in between. Now, I really kind of had some fun with the metaphor of the mountain and the skiing. So there was one card that popped to mind immediately, and this is from Lightseer's Tarot, the Ten of Wands. And it kind of combines both of the energies. So I think the hardest part sometimes of getting something done in life is the planning that we just talked about, pushing through when you're not seeing the progress that you want, and then once you get to the top, there can be panic too. How do I stay here? How do I maintain? What's next? But what I was getting was that sort of fun downhill thing, but not in a way sort of like you're going downhill, more in a way where it's sort of like an opportunity to coast a little bit or relax a little bit. So I put Four of Swords here, but this could also be like skiing where you just, say, I've done the hard work. I got up the hill. Now I can just relax. There was also a choice to go between two different ways of getting to the, the bottom part of the mountain. You could have taken a tram or you could have done the skiing, and skiing was what I was being shown. What's nice about this is it's grounded. It's in the sort of like in the flow of the energy. And it reminds us that once things pick up, they pick up quickly. So enjoy the rest if you have it, and then really enjoy that coasting period when it comes too. And remember, one of the things that happens once things pick up are you're going to be expected to act, react, respond, and also sort of like navigate quicker than you were before. So that's why whenever there's a sort of relaxation period, it's worth the time and energy just to take care of yourself. 10 of Wands is the main thing that I got from this, but also Four of Swords. Okay, so a quick little mini review, and then we're going to get into your main messages for today. You have a chance to vote for the deck if you haven't done that already, and I'll show them in just a second. So the first thing was the trees and the vines, and I got a couple of slides worth of information here. The main thing is not to give up, because again, the competition and the work energy came through with this. But there could be some areas and some places in your life where you're working too hard, too much, or you're competing for just the sake of competing without really figuring out if it's worth it. So sort out why you're doing something. Find a way to cooperate rather than compete, and collaborate. And I think that's going to be so much more beneficial for you. Because between these two cards exists the Six of Wands, which is success, right? Isn't that kind of interesting that it's bookended by two cards that are a little bit more difficult? Five of Wands, it's hard to find the motivation. Seven of Wands, you're doing too much, or you're defending yourself, or you're getting defensive. Six of Wands is the sweet spot. It's success. You don't have to do either. And that's really the kind of message here. It's not always about going one up. Sometimes you're in the sweet spot, and you got to look at what's surrounding the cards here in the minor arcana sometimes. Organization is going to be really important. It's going to help you save time. Cut things out that you don't need, and don't worry about that. You've got a lot to do. And there's going to be a fun period for you. You're either right now at the point where you're just getting up the hill, or you're starting to come down. And in either way, you're worried about what's next. The main thing is you just keep going in life. There's going to be ups and downs. If you're in that sort of coasting period, have fun with it. You've worked hard to get to that, and don't let anybody make you feel bad. If you're still pushing to get to the top, remember what it's like to kind of have this feeling of, now I can relax, now it's okay. And that's the main thing to be focusing on. Okay. All right. So overall, I actually quite like the messages for today. Let's take a look now and see what's going on with the poll. Make sure that you guys have started the voting. It looks like you have. Oh, we have pretty close second place. Let me just show you some of the cards so that you have a chance to kind of identify them. One thing that I've been trying to do is bring out a lot of older decks and put them back into rotation. I want to ask for some new recommendations, but before I did that, I was like, here's one of the benefits of actually being home is that I can unpack everything and see some stuff, and I'm purposely going for decks that we haven't used in months, partly because I've been traveling. I've been in different locations all these months. So, okay, so this is going to be the first one, and this is the Wheel of the Year. And the Wheel of the Year kind of has an illustrated approach to it. Very colorful and very much, I would say it's in the Rider-Waite-Smith family for sure. Has its own sort of like take on it. I like it quite a bit. I haven't used it in a long time. Everyday Witch, I used to use this a lot. And again, Rider-Waite-Smith, very magic infused. There's witches and wizards in almost every shot, or a cat or a familiar. It's a great deck. Okay, this one I actually used for the one card pull for today. This has both the upright and reverse on every card. And so people that are like, I don't like it when I see a reverse. Well, now you get to see both energies, and we can talk about them both at once. So this is a very cool one. And this one, Glastonbury, kind of has this Arthurian energy. In fact, you're going to see like Arthur and Guinevere and some of that. Also just beautifully illustrated. So there you go. A lot of people don't know which. This is out of print. I actually got that from a collector. Okay, so it looks like Wheel of the Year is the winner here. So we are going to end the poll, and I'm going to get things set up here. Again, if it is your first time here, do me a favor while I'm getting organized. Hit that like and subscribe so that you know what's going on. Again, today was one of those days where I was just getting things organized. And little Apollo yesterday had an appointment with the vet, and actually the day before he did, and basically he was waking me up all night, so I was a little tired yesterday. I wanted to catch up on sleep this morning to make sure that when I did the reading, I was 100% here. So that's why I was a little bit late. But I always try to show up on the day. The time may be a little bit flexible, and I think that's okay. Okay. Welcome, everybody. If you just joined, we're doing the Celtic Cross. Again, this is going to be for the next 6 to 8 weeks. It's been a while since I've used this very colorful deck. Kind of reminds me of autumn, honestly, which is typically when I use this. Even the colors on the back kind of reminds me of that. Yeah, Andre was saying he's glad that I'm using it. This was something that I used 2017, and it's not been used much, probably for the last 4 years or so. Yeah, it's been a while. I have a lot of, they're not retired, but they just kind of fell out of use. So I'll give you guys a chance to bring them back into rotation if you want them. And then, like I said, I'll look for some new ones. But I know you get tired of seeing the same old ones, so we'll try to change it up in February. Okay, I'm going to actually pull two because they stuck together, so we'll allow for the two to come through. Okay, so we've got everything laid out in front of us. Let's take it card by card. Actually, one thing I like to do is just kind of get a feel for the month. So let's look at them real quick here, and I'll pop my face in so you can see me as we're talking. All right, so interesting that we saw the Five of Wands coming through as a deep past energy, something that I picked up on, which is, it's fine. That's something that you've kind of resolved. I like where your energy is right now. These two in particular showing me that you're looking at the future. Overall, here's what's cool. I'm not seeing a significant uh-oh moment. It actually feels like there's a lot of possibilities in front of you. I really like the outcome. So there's a decision and a really nice payoff for that decision. So just the overall vibe of the cards, I like it. And it feels like most of the work has been done. There might be a little bit with communication that we need to focus on, but it's not bad. And yeah, we'll talk more about the expanded in a second. Okay, let's begin with your catalyst card. This is reminding you not to go to extremes or not to have that sort of Chicken Little feeling like the sky is falling. It says apocalypsis. Basically, it can feel like sometimes things are the end of the world. At the center of this card, we see kind of like the third eye coming through and saying, just keep your eyes open. Change is just part of life, right? And things are built up, things fall apart, but things cyclically kind of always come back. One of the cool things about winter is it reminds us of the illusion that, like death isn't the end. It's just a sort of stasis period where things are frozen for a bit. And so as some things fall away in your life right now, look at what's around you. Look at the people that are remaining around you. This is something I was talking to a really good friend the other day. I said, it's really easy to discern good, amazing friends from those that are sort of fair weather friends when life is difficult. When you're going through some hard times and they still care and they're still there and vice versa. And so for some of you, as things are challenging or difficult or certain things fall away, look at who's around you. Look at what's around you. This is the stuff that you really want to put your energy into because It's there come rain or shine, okay? And when things fall apart, it also provides us with a nice clean slate. So sometimes the appearance of like the void or the absence of can be a little scary, but it's just like the night before the dawn. You just have to imagine what can be there, and then as things start to materialize, you start to feel better, things start to feel more manageable, and you can take a deep breath. And I feel like that's what this month is about at the beginning. And the catalyst is reminding us that as each moment comes through, we're going to breathe, we're going to be present, we're not going to kind of get into our headspace too much and freak out. Okay, let's take a look now at the cards. Your two center ones are power cards off the start. So we have Empress energy smack dab in the middle, and it's crossed by the Two of Wands. I love it. The Empress is reversed, so she's reminding us of the importance of focusing on personal development. So an upright Empress is basically saying, I know who I am, I know what I need to get done, your complaints and your issues are not going to impede too much on mine, and I trust that you can do your job. A reversed Empress, however, is constantly coming in and questioning, are you sure you're doing this? Did you understand me? But not in a way that's sort of proactive, more in a way that is almost making you feel sort of like stressed out, right? And also not allowing you to prove that you've got this. So the best sort of parental figures in my life, the best bosses and teachers and leaders, typically led with trust. They would explicitly state the expectation for success and how much was on the line. But they would also say, I know it's in good hands, and I know that you'll come to me if you have questions, which is a nice way of saying, come to me if you have questions. You can just put out the confidence and say, you're hardworking, you've proven yourself before, this is a bit of a stretch, I'm here if you need me. But I also know that you're capable of growth and you're a good communicator. So this is how you can parent, you can coach, you can help other people, is basically say the door is open. But I'm not gonna force my thoughts or my vision, and it's kind of like what I do here. The door is open. If you want to show up, you can show up. If you want to listen, you can listen. If you want to do your own thing, that's fine. I try to be the emperor, the empress upright, not reversed. So basically try to sit and let people come to you rather than constantly sort of prove yourself or demand certain things or make them feel like they're not insignificant, but unable to take on what's coming through. Because that's really frustrating when you're on that receiving end. I think we've probably all been there at some point in our life. A lot of times it comes when you're a kid in school or something, and teachers are like, did you do your homework? What's going on with this? And it's like, let me just breathe for a second and I'll do it. But if you are constantly already thinking that I didn't do it, it makes me almost not want to do it. It's a demotivation sort of thing. All right, so sort of like focus on self. Now, the Empress reverse is also saying, I need to focus on taking care of myself. I feel like I've been saying that almost every day this week with my one card pulls leading up to this full moon today, and also sort of in this retrograde period. Self-care is coming through loud and clear, so definitely take care of yourself. And then focus, as we look at what's crossing the Empress card, on where do I want to see things grow? I like the Jack and the Beanstalk energy with this one. Things will take off quickly. That's kind of like skiing downhill, which is what I was seeing. So I do like to remind folks that not everything, there can be the appearance that it happens overnight, and that's Jack and the Beanstalk, but success is rarely that way. Now with the internet, you can have a viral sensation, but when we're looking at like sustainable success stories, a lot of times you will see someone who's worked in their respective industry for like 3, 5, 10 years. They've tried a lot of things, they failed, and then they have their breakout moment, and people see them as an overnight success, and it's like, I've been like going through the motions for a long time. So this is a farming card, which is saying, put the energy into this, keep working. You may give the outward appearance of overnight success, but I actually see here that you're taking care of things, that you're being diligent. And the cool thing with the Two of Wands is when you see it, when you put the energy in it, when you believe it, it does start to come through a little bit faster. So the envisioning and the vision work always are essential to manifestation. And we're getting both here. You've done the soul work, so you're going to get the reward a little bit faster. So just trust and lean into the fact that if you see it and you feel it and you do the work, it's going to happen, and it's going to probably outwardly or optically feel like you're just doing it overnight, but either in this life or previous, you've done the work, and that's what I'm picking up on. Looking at the deep past, this is where the competitive vibe can come through. We actually have it nicely illustrated with this one, and sometimes duplicative work here, but I'm looking at what's on the table. Just, I guess they're competing over like random little things. But so the 5 of Wands and the 7 of Wands. 5 of Wands, a lot of times you'll see people pushing all the wands against each other, trying to like see who can shine the most. Here we have the arm wrestling. Don't waste energy doing that, especially if people aren't noticing, because I'm not necessarily getting that vibe. We don't see anybody around. Do it because it's right. The 6 of Wands is when the people show up. This is just a waste. It's like I was taking my car in for regular maintenance yesterday, but there was like some motorcyclists that came around me and they were just revving their engines, and some guy just kind of waved at me. I'm like, okay, sheepishly I waved back. He just wanted attention. I was like, yeah, dude, you're great, whatever. But look, all that was really doing was creating exhaust, burning fuel, and making a lot of noise. So sometimes that's all this is. It's sort of like preening your feathers a little bit and trying to get noticed. Let somebody do that if you want to. Save your energy for the long haul. Save it for the 6 of Wands. It's not worth this. Let them have their 5, 10, 15 minutes of fame and, sort of puffing out their chest or whatever. It's not worth it. Okay? So it strikes me more as someone else in your life, and it's more about you tempering your reaction to understand that although it's loud and annoying and kind of like in your face, it's not really going to make a difference. In fact, some people may just see it kind of like I did and wave and just think, please move on, because you're just, I don't feel like engaging with that energy today. Just take a drink here. The only other thing that I can say sometimes that happens with the 5 of Wands is the desire for like being a little bit more motivated. So if you're doing something and it's not explicitly because it's something that you wanted to do, but it was an expectation, or again, you're kind of just going through the motions. This card is really about trying to get back down to basics, back to work, and not waste your time and energy. Okay? All right, let's look at what's going through in the recent past here. We have we have the Knight of Cups, and the Knight of Cups is reversed. So I've been seeing a lot of court cards in the Suit of Cups reversed lately. So this basically is about self-care and also kind of like letting go of some things. One thing that I've noticed even personally, because I had to do so much last year in sort of like picking up, moving, taking care of myself, that it wasn't until I finally slowed down that I was like, oh gosh, now I have to deal with this, this, and this. Some of it was kind of like secretarial or administrative. Some of it was self-care. And you're just like, now I have to process things that I've been through, because when you stop moving long enough, then that has to come out. So there's lots of ways that you can process it. Sleep is one way. Therapy is one way. Art is another way. Hanging out with your friends, all of these, and exercise. Like, find ways to engage with the environment around you and let out what you've been sort of like keeping in. We don't want this to be like a dam where it has to sort of get to the breaking point. You want to let go of some of that buildup so that it's sustainable. The other thing here is you may just be wanting to pull back from some people in your life. This is generally a pretty attractive energy, any Cups court card. And what I'm seeing here is you moving towards people that are maybe more sensitive to your needs. So Knights in reverse are course correcting for a reason. This person, and if we tie it to what I was talking about earlier with like the vines that were over kind of like choking each other out in the tree and all of that, it could just be this feeling like I need to breathe a little bit. So look around, see what's out there. Allow yourself to feel the freedom to move. We see all these little butterflies around this Knight as well. So this is your chance to find something that is supportive of the new you, that allows you to spread your wings a little bit, and it's going to be a lot more sustainable in the long run. And yes, this card can indicate incoming love from an unexpected direction. You may not be looking for it. It could be even a little bit inconvenient, but it's coming through, and it could be a water sign. Okay? All right, let's take a look at your crowning card. And this kind of strikes me as a lesson that's coming back. This competition energy is going to bring out the 5 of Swords. So 5 of Wands testing you with the 5 of Swords. Your head is a little bit distracted with this right now since this is in the crowning position. So let's see what we can do about that. So with the 5 of Swords, there's a reminder that it's not always worth the energy or the effort to try to get someone to understand something. It usually is because they have already made up their mind. It doesn't mean that you're a bad communicator. It doesn't mean that they don't like you. Sometimes people just on a cognitive level have decided I'm doing this or I'm not doing this. And no amount of you putting out energy or trying to make them win. This is really like a stalemate, this card. And that's kind of what the Five of Swords is a stalemate too. So it's not worth it. State your case, say what you need to say, see what the reaction is. And if there's a lukewarm reception, focus on something else. This can also be a lack of accountability. Someone doesn't want to listen to criticism and they're not going to take ownership over a mistake. It could also just be someone who likes to be right and likes to get a rise out of you. So generally speaking, if I see or come across Five of Swords energy, I focus on something else. I find another way rather than talking to that person to get the job done or to solve that problem. You're barking up the wrong tree here. So that would be sort of my advice here is disengage with that until it's a better time. Timing could be a piece of that too, where just someone's not yet mature enough or ready enough to listen to what you have to say. All right, you've got a decision to make this month, Gemini, and I think you can do it. I feel good about it. The Justice card here is upright, and you're seeing the growth opportunity here, and it's squarely between the two seasons, and it's kind of cool because this represents the northern and southern hemispheres right now because we're in winter in the northern and you're in summer in the southern. It's looking at it not just for the immediate gain. So you're really looking at the long haul here, 1 or 2 years down the road, 1 or 2 seasons ahead from now. And this decision isn't going to just be what feels right in the moment. So I think the important thing here to do is to take all things into consideration and to remind yourself that even if it means a temporary period of lack, you can make this happen again. So we see on one side this sort of autumnal winter and then spring summer energy. So when we let go of something, when we walk away from something, there is that energy of apocalypse, right? Which we have here, apocalypsis, as it's put in this particular card. Oh my God, the world is ending. No, the world, by the way, it's either the ultimate or the penultimate. Someone reminded me the other day that the Fool can sometimes be 22. Typically it's 0 or none, but the world is the last in the major arcana for the most part. So when we see the world, it's not the end of the world, it's the beginning of a new world. So when you let go of something, when the old world kind of falls away, either way, you're going to go to the Fool next. And the Fool kind of sits at both ends. It's ends and beginnings. But the world is right there saying, once you've made up your mind, then things start to get fun and you start to expand. So I see you on the precipice of expansion. For some of you, it's the next natural step. For some of you, it's letting go of something and discovering something new. Either way, I feel like you've kind of made this decision and it's just about committing to it. You don't need my permission and you don't need my clarity on this one. But the one thing that I can help you sort of focus on is it's not about what this is. It's about what the future is going to entail. So it may feel like a little bit of a long shot right now, but what I see in the future, it totally makes this decision worthwhile. So that's the one thing that this card lays out pretty nicely. All right, focusing on you and how you're showing up right now, we have a really good card. This is my base card for sustainability, the Six of Pentacles. And you're only trending in a better direction with the Ten of Pentacles here. So I was reading for Taurus the other day and I had to really look into how to get them more abundance. I'm not as worried. You guys are one step ahead here with the Six of Pentacles. However, Six of Pentacles still carries with it the need to be discerning. So right now, people see you as someone that they can come to because maybe you have a big heart, maybe you're great at advice, you might be a good leader, they might just like hanging out with you. But you have a finite amount of resources that you can lend in the areas of love, time, energy, money. So discernment is key. Deciding, yeah, I can do this or I can't do that. And using no, not yet, or just this much. Using some sort of measurement to basically create a healthy boundary between you and that other person. That's going to be the essential piece to your happiness and sustainability. And people will respect you because they see that you know your worth and you know your limits. And if they're used to testing limits, they'll go on to someone else and test them instead. If you're looking specifically, can I make this leap? So this would be a decision card, the Justice card. And this is what I'm looking at for you. And I would say, it looks like you've got enough. You don't have ridiculous abundance and contingency, but you have enough to make it. So for a new business, for a new endeavor, for a risk assessment, it's leaning towards success with this. But you still have to be mindful. It's not everything you want. It requires budgeting, it requires diligence and discernment. So as long as you feel good about those things, it's a yes. If not, then save up a little more till you get to like the Eight of Pentacles, and then you're good to go. Okay? Let's move on to the environment card, and we have Temperance here, which I love. Temperance is reversed, so there could be this feeling of impatience. Temperance is invariably an angelic card, so it's basically saying you're being guided. I always connect it with springtime. Usually there are lilies or daffodils, or in this case, we can see hyacinth, basically grape hyacinth, or no, just regular hyacinth there. And this represents, again, that coming back from a period of lack. So in the winter, you're not going to see any of these bulbs. But in the springtime, you're going to see that beautiful bulb popping up, the fragrant scent, and it's like, okay, it was worth it. I really do get this. I'm going to tie it to where your reader's at here. So because I'm in the Northern Hemisphere, because I saw like a snowy hill, and now we see the snow and this sort of springtime flower, I do think it's going to be March, April, when you're going to see abundance, growth, or a breakthrough. And that's just around the corner from when this reading is. I'm reading in January, but the reading is for February. So I'm saying give it a month, give it 2 months, and you're going to start to see the seeds take root and things start to take form here. So even this is like 2 months into the future. So it's not going to be overnight, but it's pretty fast. I'll take that. And then you're going to then just need to get your footing and, again, not rush things. The main thing with Temperance is the balance. And here we can also see sort of the thawing out of things. So this Temperance angel isn't just trying to find balance and not just trying to kind of be between two elements, but she's also trying to warm things up a little bit. So when it comes to the reception or perception of something, one of your challenges, because it came in the environment, is how can I get people to warm up to this idea or to this energy? So again, what we see here is that's in the environment, but people see you as valuable. So I'm not overly worried about this. It's just about taking your time and really making a case here. I love what's coming through in opportunities here. We have the Eight of Wands. For small business, this is good. This actually shows me predictable, sustainable periods of growth and business. We have a really cool energy here with almost like it's not a carrier pigeon, it's like a falcon or whatever, but it's carrying a message here. So word of mouth is going to be important. And that's going to help you with how much people are paying attention to who you are, what you're doing, etc. And it's also saying you can raise your hand. And I mention this a lot with the Eight of Wands because it's a community card in disguise. Typically with Eight of Wands, and I'll pull up the normal card here, you would see all these wands being thrown in the air, kind of like, is that javelin, that sport? But how do you think they're getting there? Sometimes they're arrows, sometimes they're rockets. There are people that are launching this energy out there. You're a part of something bigger. And sometimes you just have to slow things down long enough or send a message to someone and say, hey, I need some help here, or what do you think about this? You're not alone. So this is sending out that SOS, and this is what's going on. A lot of movement. You're headed into a period where there is rapid movement, rapid growth, and you're starting to see things come to fruition, which ultimately to me is a good thing. I can't really fault that or feel upset about that, okay? Call and answer with this a little bit too, because he's calling for the bird to come back as well. So give things a chance to, give people a chance to respond. You don't want to rush them either. And, there's different people that have different response comfort zones too. You can text one friend and know that they're going to get back to you like within a couple minutes. And there may be the other random friend or colleague or worker that it can take 1 to 2 days, but the message is still there. And that if you bug them, it's not going to speed it up. It's just going to annoy them. So focus on response times and give people the time and space. And even when you check in, just say, hey, I've been busy and I know you're busy. Just one last note, or I wanted to follow up on this. And then you can check in on that. Or I know you've got this under control. Here's something else. You can kind of do the positive reinforcement that we talked about before. And even if they forgot, then they're like, oh yeah, let me get to that right now. And it'll be a nicer way of making sure that you're kind of adjusting with their comfort zones for management. All right. As your outcome, it's a wonderful card here. So the 10 of Pentacles can represent so many things. We actually see domestic bliss here with this one. Just like King and Queen of Pentacles are husband and wife or house and home or business being really under control, the Ten of Pentacles represents a tidy sort of business situation or financial situation, really good energy coming with relationships. For some of you, this can mean that what we saw coming in here in the form of a suitor could end up getting serious. I'll talk more about that when we look at love and relationships, but I like this overall. And we also see all the grapes becoming wine here. So this hard work definitely pays off. For some of you, we can even look at this as a calendar month. As we're looking into the third or fourth quarter of the year, October, that's when you're really going to see things sitting in a good zone. They start to get better as early as June. So we're seeing some nice sort of growth periods here. February, which we're reading, is when you're starting to feel better about it. So I see 3 power points. February is when you're starting to see things really like a return on the energy. June is when you're starting to feel like I can breathe. And October is when it all pays off. So it's almost like a quarterly boon to your energy, and that's a good thing, ultimately. If you're looking for a new job or a new house, or if you're looking to sell your house, this card also portends good things. There's a little bit of haggling that needs to get done there, but it will happen. Okay, let's expand this forecast. We're going to take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each one of these is multi-part, and with each one of these, this disclaimer applies basically. I'm not a replacement for a financial advisor, for a doctor, or for a psychologist. I'm really here to help you see the energy and help you make smart decisions, or empower you to make the decision that you need. Okay, let's look at health. We have guardians of the land protection. So for some of you, you might be feeling a little bit more territorial around something that matters to you. And we can kind of see this feeling like this is my domain. I don't necessarily think that that's bad in the realm of business. I think it's good to protect your like intellectual property. I think when it comes to, protecting your car and your house and things like that, yeah, of course we want to make sure that the proper insurance is there and all of that. So check your locks, check your security, get all of that stuff sort of buttoned up, and your insurance policy as well. Now let's take the sort of like everyday stuff out of it. The other piece here is protecting your heart, protecting yourself. And for this, it could be a feeling of fear of like vulnerability, right? And it's sort of like, I'm afraid to put myself out there. I'm afraid to be alone. I don't want to be the first one. So the guardian of the land is guarding your resources and guarding your heart. And it would be like the Four of Pentacles. It could also be putting up a lot of defense around you, like the Seven of Wands, just pushing back a little bit. So look at that a little bit if you're feeling that resonates, and think to yourself, do I still need to do that? Maybe there was someone in the past or something in the past that created that feeling like there has to be this sort of castle and moat and protection around your heart and around everything that matters. But if that is constantly up all the time, then it's going to be hard for new people to come in. And it looks like someone is sort of knocking on the door and wanting to see if you're interested. So that's something only you can kind of look at, but that's what I'm picking up on. All right, let's look at the cards specifically and see if there's some additional messages around general health and well-being. The one that I'm drawn to look at the most here is the balance card here, basically justice. So this is saying, everything that I'm doing in my life, whether it's how much time I spend in a relationship, how many hours I work, how much I'm eating or exercising, is it creating balance or is it creating some sort of imbalance? So finding that happy medium is the first message when it comes to health and well-being. Self-care, which I've talked until the cows have come home about this past week, and I feel like much of last month, but it's coming through again, so I'll keep saying it until that message disappears. Do take care of yourself. It's important. I think that when it comes to people in your life that enjoy getting a rise out of you, it would be really good in this period of time to pull back from them. Sometimes it's difficult if it's someone that we live with or someone that we work directly with, but if they aren't that connected to you, definitely pull back and save your breath and save your energy. Overall, you have what it takes this month to create the balance here. You have 2 of the balance cards. We don't see it here, but the traditional card, he's holding the scales. So 2 of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles, and the Justice card, they're all balance cards. So you got 2 of the 3. So it is really important here to balance out time, energy, and resources. And this is balancing out your health and well-being as well. So You matter this month. Not that you don't always matter, but you really need to take care of yourself. The mother card, the ultimate mother card is coming through saying nurture yourself. So definitely do that. Otherwise, it's good, folks. And this is manageable. This is pretty manageable. Temperance in reverse could also show me just trying to push too far at something. She's also a balance angel. Again, 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on land. There's an opportunity here to just decide. People might be looking at you and you might be thinking too, where do I stand? Am I in or am I out? And that's one of the other messages that will come through with temperance. I think that's pretty much everything for health. It looks manageable this month. It looks like you have the walls up a bit. And I think that where you can leave them up is around these people that are just not worth the time and energy. Where you can let them down a little bit is if someone is coming in and they care about you and you're just concerned, like, I don't want to get hurt. If we never love or we never open ourselves up, we can also never kind of feel that energy of love and support to its maximum. So you have to find that happy medium. I didn't get the devil energy around this person or anything. So if there's someone that wants to talk to you, cautiously optimistic is what I would say with this, okay? All right, let's take a look now at your wealth card. Friendship and union. This person could simply want to come in and be your friend or support you. They may have some advice. So we definitely see when it comes to business and to wealth and to school and personal development, partnership being good. This can also be leaning on an expert, saying, all right, I need a little bit more information, so I'm going to talk to someone, a counselor of some sort. I mentioned I'm not a substitute for those, so maybe leaning on one of those counselors for information and support. It will help you. It'll help you get further and help you get there faster, okay? So let's now take a look at all the cards with respect to this. And I kind of highlighted this already, which to me is very heartening. But when we look at your resources overall, they're trending in the right direction. We see you going from the 6 of Pentacles to the 10 of Pentacles. So having more than enough to having exactly what you were looking for. Okay, to like kind of really going into that expansive next state. If you're trying to sell something, this is important. This is an under-representation of what the worth is. So like there's a 40% delta, right, between this, 60-40. So you might have to bridge the gap, and the happy point is 20%. You might have to come down 20%. You might have to go up 20%. To get the sale or to get things agreed upon. There's way too much of a difference between the actual value and the perceived value, or what you want and what they want. So it feels like in the middle, everyone wins, and a 20% loss or gain is manageable. So that's what I'm looking at there for prices. And again, work with your respective expert to kind of make that happen, but that's what I'm picking up energetically. I think this is going to be a really productive period for you. I think you already know what to avoid. Again, it's trying to prove yourself to people that it's not really worth it, trying to argue with someone who's not listening. Take that out of the equation and you can already get yourself 20% more energy back and you're closer to getting what you're looking for. So a little bit of a time and energy sink here that you want to avoid. Some of you are deciding, do I stay, do I go? And this is in or out, and this is in or out. And if you decide to go either direction, it portends good things here. So if you go on your own, 10 of Pentacles. If you leave, 10 of Pentacles. Or if you stay, I think the important thing here is that there's some work to do. The reason that you may be thinking of leaving whatever it is, again, it could be a relationship or a job, difficulty in communication, working too hard, not getting what you're worth, not feeling like someone's committed fully to you and to your growth. I mean, those are some interesting and somewhat serious things, and maybe just not feeling the creative output and connection to it. So any one of those could be some things that you're feeling or that you feel are exacerbated in this period. None of them are the end of the world, but together, or if they pop up sort of like in pairs, it can be a lot. And in that case, you may just decide, I can do better. And I think you can. So it's up to you. If you stay, I would really push for that middle ground. Like I said, they may not be willing to give you the full amount that you're looking for or all the support that you're looking for, but I think you can get another 10 or 20% without a lot of difficulty. So push a little bit. And that's my advice there. You also have support, and you should be building your network. This is where the future opportunities come through. It's your closest friends, it's your family, it's your friends. So lean into that. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's there, folks. Okay? Let's take a look at love and relationships where I typically go a little bit deeper into this one. All right, we have Kalima, one of the biggest energies to come through if I'm going to pull a card. She is reversed. So with this, there's a not so fierce energy because sometimes all those little skulls, she basically is a demon slayer, and she wears the skulls of the demons she slays around her neck. So she's fierce, and I like that. But when we're looking at relationships, it doesn't have to be like going in for the kill. It doesn't have to be win or lose. And she's here to really help you resolve karma at the end of the day. So if we look at the caption on this one, it says, major spiritual changes are unfolding. This is your chance to soar. She wants to help you face the things that you're afraid of. Okay. So if there is an adversary or perceived adversary, if there is someone who is impeding your ability to say or speak your truth or live your truth, she's coming through to say, no, I've got your back. You've got your own back too. Let's make this happen. It's time to release this and to enter into the Empress energy. I mean, Empress reversed and Kalima reversed, they're both really fierce adversaries as well. So the person that might be challenging you, they don't know your potential. They're underestimating you. I'm not, because I can see that energy here. This is also saying, though, in your life, if there is someone and they're difficult, don't underestimate them either. And you can decide sometimes the battle that I just mentioned may not be worth the work. It may be better just to move on to your own path. And she's saying, don't be afraid for that change either. So you're either going to fight, and you're going to really fight, or you're going to peacefully move on and put all of your energy into basically success is the best revenge. And I don't believe in revenge, but I believe you can prove your worth and be very satisfied and very happy without having to kind of have the butting of heads that might happen here. And that's one of the things to consider. Now let's dig deeper. We're going to take a look at this on 3 different levels. We're going to look at those of you in a relationship, looking for a relationship, or single and happy. Let's begin with those in a committed relationship. Invariably over the past month of readings, I always see 2 directions on this. And I think I'll just read it this way until I see a shift. But let's focus on healthy relationships that have external challenges. And then I'll look at those of you that are already deciding to move on, because justice can be that. If you're in a committed relationship, but you're stressed out, here's how you can support each other better. The main thing that I talked about at the beginning was not trying to control your partner. It's like common sense, but the longer you're with someone, the harder it is to remember that, they're their own person and you don't have to fix them. They don't have to fix you. They don't owe you things. You don't owe them. So it's basically just allowing each person to be their own manager. And that's going to make for the 2 of you to be happier. You don't want to be mom and dad. And Empress is definitely like mothering energy. So let's pull back and you can mother yourself, but don't mother the partner so much. Pull back a little bit on that. Talk about shared visions and dreams together. As you make plans, you strengthen not just the fact that you can do things together, but you're basically saying, I see you in my future. I want to continue to make plans with you. You're in my life. So it's very wonderful to hear that. It's sexy, it's nice, it's comforting, it's good. So yeah, definitely make plans with them. Don't step out of an argument, but don't feed an argument. So basically say, in this case, it would be, I'm frustrated, you're frustrated, but we're not getting anywhere. What are we really fighting about? I mean, you can just ask a question like that. Is it about this? Or are we just fighting because we're stressed out and tired? And in which case, I want to keep talking, but this isn't the best time. How about we regroup in an hour and get some food and some caffeine or something and kind of get our head on straight. So re sort of setting the narrative and making sure that you're not just fighting for the sake of fighting. There is some sensitivity here, and there is this feeling of being imbalanced. So one or both of you may need to just have a little bit of time to clear your head. And I think that that's going to help a lot. It looks like there's too much work going on for one of you too. So a lot of energy going into work. Maybe reminding the partner to take care of themselves. But again, you can't control them. Maybe making some plans where you can kind of help facilitate that. That would be good too. I'm feeling pretty good about house, home, and finances. What's coming through instead is feeling very sensitive, feeling like the balance of power and energy isn't where it should be. So just give and take needs to be improved a little bit. Now, Second narrative, still looking at those inner relationships. Some of you are deciding, should I stay, should I go? If the fighting, if the arguing is acrimonious, is negative, doesn't go anywhere, just leaves you feeling exhausted, Kali's coming through and saying, why do you have to always bite my head off? Why does this always have to be win or lose, or end of the world sort of energy? And in that case, it's probably time, because this is a very difficult energy if it is the partner energy to deal with. Competition and being contrary, it's not sustainable. And I don't have enough time and energy to kind of look at why it's happening. I'm just going to say that I see it here for some of you. But you're going to be okay. And you can reach out to others for help. You can get some other feedback. And if you do decide to go on your own path, I think you'll be fine, okay? But I think if you're gonna stick this out, you're gonna need someone to help in the middle, because that's difficult energy, okay? And I could spend a whole reading on that one, and I'm not going to. All right, so, and if anybody missed anything, this is on DVR, just rewind it. You can see it. We're now going to move forward to the next piece, which is those of you that are looking for love. What I'm basically getting for those of you looking for love right now is it does feel like you're starting to free your time up a little bit better. Like, I think the main focus, the first focus should be work-life balance, balancing out your time, energy, and money first, getting all of that cleared. I see a water sign coming in. The thing with the water sign is it does feel like they need a lot. So you need to be really sorted to see if that's something that you want. It's not necessarily that they're needy, but let's say they're very affectionate and they like to also have someone that's affectionate. So for whatever reason, you're pulling in a more sensitive and a more sort of communicative type. If that's not you, then be discerning and keep looking. I do see a positive outcome in the long run. Some of you are very focused on wanting partnership or wanting to be with someone, and it's about the life that you build, not just about like quick gratification. It's more about like, I want to build my life with somebody. That's coming, but there's a lot going on. By the way, I mean, it's connected to 8, so it could be August, it could be October energy when we're looking at this. So what you're focusing on in the first part of the year is taking care of your budget, your life, getting rid of some of these energies that are pulling you out of your zen. And then as soon as the springtime, things could start to kick off when it comes to courtship. That doesn't mean you have to wait until the end of the year for things to happen. April or May, things are looking better. But the first couple of months, just like we've been looking, it's really about planting seeds and getting things sort of sorted out. So I would say about 2 months from now, that water sign could be coming in. We have all the little daffodils at the bottom of this, and this is usually connected with the spring, and we see the thaw here. So you're starting to open up a little bit. And for some of you, this is when that the sort of guard is let down and you're more prepared. All right, if you're single and happy, good for you first and foremost. And I think that there's some big shifts coming in your life. Could be a change of job. Could be an opportunity where you have to choose, am I going to, like for those of you that are artists, there may be a chance to do something independently or like a big sort of distribution option coming out, and you have to decide what path is best for you. I see a lot of good options. Difficult decisions to make, but good ones. And mostly what I'm seeing is an improvement of finances. I see you going further in business, and I see you finding balance in your life. Not as many people coming in here, although this is a networking card, so it feels like you're exactly where you need to be, focusing on personal development. The one thing that I would do in this period is prioritize things like your health, your mental health, your diet, house and home, basically everything that the mother card would represent, okay? And that's everything here. One thing when we look at all aspects of relationship, I would say, what's your biggest fear? If you're in a relationship, if you're looking for one, or if you're single and happy, look at that fear in this period, and that's going to, as you let go of that, all of your relationships will improve. Some may fall away, some may come in, but it's going to recognize the growth and the change that you've done on yours. And for Andre that's laughing at me, yeah, it's actually called DVR in the creator settings. It says allow DVR mode. So basically when you're watching it live, you can actually take the, what do you call it? The sort of little progress bar and pull it back. So when you're streaming, you can either allow it or not allow it. I always allow it in case people join late. So You can laugh at YouTube. They call it the DVR. That is very old-fashioned, but be that as it may. Okay, that way I'm not kind of repeating for everyone that showed up already. Let's take a look now at your destiny cards. You got 2. I pulled this one, but this one was stuck on top. So we're going to focus on the crown chakra first, and then we'll look at the one that's underneath it. All right, so divine connection, holy experiences, and miraculous energy. I'll take it. That was the bonus one that came through, that wanted to come through. Basically during this period, and it says crown chakra upgrade here. So for many of us, we may be feeling or sensing things that it's something you need or want, but it feels like, is this too soon? Is this really me? Can I do this? So usually you have the epiphany or the awakening before you accept it. And I feel like some of you may be in that awakening state where it's sort of like, aha, this is it. This is why. This is how. Am I going to do it? Should I do it? So that questioning voice is following it. So I would say trust in the big download or the big idea, which I'll be pulling in a second, and we'll focus it on the upgrade here in just a second. All right, now as we take a look at the one that wanted to present itself, we have the Stellar Gateway Activation. This is very close to even what I just titled the Taurus reading, which was not to, well, I didn't title it. I was going to do it. But I talked yesterday to Taurus about there not being limits. So this is reversed, but the caption on this one says Infinite Potential Manifestation Vortex. So the infinite potential was something that I was talking about yesterday, which is the universe. We put limits on our potential. The universe doesn't necessarily put the same limits on our potential. So if we imagine the possibilities and imagine that maybe something could surpass our expectations and we would be okay with that, then the universe shows up and says, oh, you're ready for more? I'll give you more. Okay, cool. But if we keep thinking that we're not capable of or not prepared for more, then it gives us a little less than we're looking for. So maybe just be open to a little bit more. And also, it's all about activation this month here. Infinite potential. I can't say this today. And then a manifestation vortex. A vortex is it's really interesting. I used to live in an apartment that had vortices. There were different energy spots in the place. So a vortex can be a part of your life where you just sort of feel plugged in. And for some of you, it could be connected to, a path or an activity that you like, and you're like, whenever I do this, it just feels right. Whenever I do this, it feels very forced. So pay attention to where that activation or that vortex is, where everything just seems to move around you magically. And if you're not feeling that with what you're doing, it might be time to shift your attention or change up the routine a little bit. Okay, I mentioned the big idea. I mentioned that I want to connect it to the upgrade one because this was kind of like the bonus one. So let's see where the activation wants to take place right now. All right, so we got an ace, we have the Ace of Pentacles, and this is really cool. So the Ace of Pentacles can represent a birthing sort of opportunity in your life. So I've been getting a lot of this as well. We've been seeing a lot of Ace of Pentacles, a lot of... By the way, the Empress card in reverse is representing something that's overdue. We don't necessarily see it on this card, but a lot of times you'll see like a pregnant belly on the Empress, and it's basically just saying, I'm ready to birth, I'm ready to release something, and this is what's coming through. So the activation or the realization is you're closer to the finish line than you think. And maybe you're just holding on 1 or 2 half steps more than you need to. So that's one thing. There could also be an incoming offer. This can be an offer for work or for love. This can be a proposal. And it's basically saying, I think you're worth it, or I think this is worth the connection here. And we got this partnership, friendship union card coming through with wealth. And it's basically saying, do you feel the same? Do you feel what I feel, or do you feel differently? And you get to basically state how you feel. But also this is about planting a seed right now. Literally, we have them planting a seed at the center. Once you've planted that seed, this is figuratively speaking, within 2 months, you start to see some sort of reaction. So planting a seed can be stating an intention, asking for something, stating interest in something. I'd like to be considered for this job. Is this apartment available? Do you want to go out on a date? These are planting seeds. It can be sending a resume. It can be sending a letter to someone that you haven't talked to in a while. It can be writing down an intention and then acting on that intention. You've planted it. You've started the work. Now you've got like the clock ticking, and then over the course of the next 2 months, you start to see results. And you get feedback. Is this the right path or not? Not all seeds grow, but that doesn't mean you stop planting them. Farmers will just plant a little bit more than they need so that they can go through. And often, I don't know if all farmers do this, but gardeners, my father and grandfather used to do this, but you would overplant your flowers even, and then you would weed out the weaker ones, and then you would allow the stronger ones to have the resources that they need, and then you'd have more than enough. Because invariably, a snail would eat one, some bugs would eat another one of them would fall, down and maybe not grow the way you wanted it to. So you were kind of hedging your bets. Keep planting seeds, just like a gardener or a farmer would, because some of them are going to thrive, and some of them are going to kind of give you that Jack and the Beanstalk feel where you just wake up one day and there's something beautiful. Okay? All right, that's a good big idea. I like it. All right, let's take a look at your blessings and blocks, just like they sound. Things that can help, things that can challenge. Your blessing is the star card. Beautiful. And your block is the devil. Makes sense. Interesting that this devil has the vines on it that I saw, so we'll talk about that. All right, so we'll start with your blessing card first. So the blessing card was reversed, but it is the star, and the star is basically embracing your own true strength and your own sort of authenticity, and not feeling like you need to mute your light or mute yourself for the benefit of someone else. So in your life right now, there may be this feeling like I have to dim, I have to change, I have to shift, but you've worked really hard, just like these lilies at the bottom, to find this expansion. And by the way, that's basically what we see here with the crown chakra. So you've changed. The way you think has changed, the way you present yourself has changed, and there's an old part of you that feels like I still need to try to make all these people happy, but the star is saying, no, that's not really necessary. That's not even necessarily possible all the time. So in this moment in time, it's really just about taking a deep breath and saying, all right, I am what I am, and this is what I'm going to do, and let the cards fall as they may. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. So don't overthink. Just be authentic, be yourself. No apologies, no dimming of the light. That will help you get to the next part of the journey. Okay, now we have roses and thorns here with this devil card. The devil card is in reverse, and invariably I will take a reverse devil because it's actually pretty good. It's saying that I see now where the codependencies are. And I mentioned earlier that when I was looking at the vines, it kind of felt like it was codependent. It was holding you in place. And we can kind of see that here. And we see them scraped up a little bit, worse for the wear. So sometimes things look beautiful, but when you get into it, it's sort of like there's too many constraints, too many requirements here. In a job, it could be intellectual property that people want to keep. If you're trying to rent a property, they could be trying to lock you in for a very long amount of time, like 24 months or something. For a car payment, it could be the same sort of thing, a high interest rate for a long time, or a lease or something. So basically look at the terms of this connection and think, is it worth it? Because it's almost like the same person in both of these cards. Here she's kind of just doing it herself, and here it's with someone that wants it all. And so it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be win or lose. This has sort of like a common theme that we're looking at here. Okay? All right, so that's that. Let's now kind of expand this to the viewers and readers' choices. This is going to be a chance for both of us to pick some things that are worth learning or seeing or knowing a little bit more about. Let me take a quick scan. I want to see what might be the best reader's choice, and then I'll look at the viewers' choices. It's harder today because they're all looking pretty good, I have to say. I'm going to go to your catalyst. How not to feel like the world is ending. So if you're in a big end or beginning, how to manage the change. So I'll help you with that. All right, let me start to look at some other things here, and I'll put them out there for you to vote on. All right, so as I start this poll, let's see what we can focus on. So achieving that perfect balance. Basically what gives, but I'll put achieving the balance. Dealing with difficult people. I can actually say conversations because that's really what this is, conversations. Okay, and for this one, facing the fears, so what, yeah, we'll just put facing your fears, facing your fears. And let's see if there's anything else that is worthy of this. Letting down the barriers here as well, because I got that a little bit with this one. Letting down your barriers, guard, and we'll let you vote on those. Okay, so take your time, vote when you can, and I'm going to focus now on clarifying this apocalypsis, or basically like the world is falling sort of energy. What can you do in the face of radical, rapid, or unexpected change? What do you do when you see that void? What does it mean? Etc. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. It's about changing your direction, basically. All right, let me just shift back here so I can see it. And so, again, one of the cool things with this particular spread is it's not stuck in a season, or this particular deck, I should say. So we have the Wheel of Fortune reversed, and this is basically saying that something that once served me no longer does. What this beautiful card illustrates so lovely is that it can take up to a year sometimes for a full change to take place. We see all 4 seasons here, winter, spring, summer, and fall. So with this in reverse, it's saying, all right, I may be in this period or I may be in this period, but it's going to be okay. And I'm now very much aware that I have to change course. So I'll give you 2 sides of this coin. Like when I left my job back in 2015, maybe I would have been in the summertime energy, right? Everything was going well. It was a respectable company. And I was like, you know what? I have to go in a different direction. So it threw me into wintertime energy for a second because everything stopped. And I skipped over fall completely. And then I had to kind of push my way out into spring and summer again. And I found my way. But I switched the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And I was like, I have to go here. We don't always crank it all the way back 180 degrees. Sometimes it's just a little to the right or to the left. So you're going to make a course adjustment and you're not going to freak out because things change when you change. You're going to trust then that you can then clean up the mess and do the work in order to recover the season that you're in or go to the season that you want to be in, using seasons as metaphors here. This would be loss, this would be growth, this would be abundance, this would be that absence, that sort of beginning phase that we all often start in. So that's what you're kind of at right now, is this moment where you think, do I like the direction that the ship is in? And if I don't, if it's not what I want, then I'm not going to worry, because no matter what I do, it's better than where I'm at. It's already over. We could see apocalypsis as the nexus or composition of 2 or 3 cards in tarot. I would say for sure death, maybe the Tower, and probably judgment. We like those big cards. Death, it's already done. It's just waiting for you to grab its hand and say, let's go. Judgment, rise up, figure out what the next thing is. Tower again, pick up the pieces and rebuild. So yeah, something's done, but that doesn't have to be it unless you want to stay in that energy. So if it serves you where you're at, good, awesome. If it doesn't, make the change that you need to and go in another direction. And if you've achieved something, this is also saying this isn't the end. There's more to come. No matter how you look at this card, it's not the end. So if you're here, you can go here. If you're here and you want to start again, you can get back to there. It's basically just saying we're constantly in flux. There is no end really to any of this. I was watching this really cool thing. I found it on TikTok and then I think I looked at it on YouTube. But it was all about black holes. And one of the things is maybe this whole universe that we're in is basically the other side of a black hole, because they consume so much energy. And then they possibly can just rip through time and space and go into another dimension. And maybe that's how universes are seeded and continue, and there's multiverses. So we might actually be part of a bigger universe, a black hole in that universe. And as vast as this one is, it could just be a smaller piece of a really, really big thing. So even when you go into a black hole, you're actually entering into then perhaps a whole new reality. So we don't really understand everything just yet. And what seems like an end can be a beginning, long story short. okay? And even something that we would summarize as like a consuming energy, the end of everything, could just be a gateway, a wormhole into something else. So how about that? Chew on that for a second. All right, let's see what you chose for me. Okay. You chose achieving the perfect balance. That's a really good one for this month, especially because we have the Justice card there as well. This will hopefully help you make the right decision as well. So achieving the perfect balance. What's the message? What's the opportunity? How do you do it? Okay. It's a perspective shift, folks. We have the Five of Cups. She's so dramatic in this card. Literally, it's sort of like OMG is what she's saying, or woe is me, it's never going to be okay. Okay, so Five of Cups. This is a very unconventional illustration for the Five of Cups. We would normally see at least two of the cups upright. But even in this one, all those cups that spilled over, let's imagine that it's water, not wine, all they're doing is fertilizing the seeds that she planted. So again, it's like something, I fell short of expectations. I didn't do what I was supposed to do, but maybe something better will come along. Now let's look at the traditional one because I like that one, but it's not the whole picture. The main thing that I get out of this one is panic. I'm going to show you the traditional Five of Cups so that you don't panic and so that we can reframe it. But it's okay to feel that uh-oh moment. We've all been there, where it's just like, now what? Or did I really mess things up? I think Five of Cups is always an opportunity just to look in another direction. Okay, let's see. Where are you, Five of Cups? The traditional one will usually show two cups behind the person while I'm finding the card, which means that, here we go. I was mentioning earlier, when you're in your most difficult moment, sometimes you look to your side and someone is right there by you and they don't mind. It's like, but that's your friend, that's your family, that's the one that really gets it. Yes, something that you wanted didn't happen. But yes, there's also this hidden blessing right behind the person. He's focusing on the wine or the spilled milk, but there's something beautiful here. Not only that, but there's also another path to be taken. So you could, and we have this partnership or friendship and unity card that came through. You could connect with that person and then start a new journey together down this path. So it's really about looking around, looking at what's available to you, and not sort of like feeling like this is it. Something or someone fell away, yes, but that isn't all there is. And we don't know what's going to grow next here. Maybe it's going to be that big opportunity, okay? So you have to just keep looking and keep pushing and keep trying. The Four had a very similar message. In the Four of Cups, someone's kind of cross-armed, looking at the three cups in front of them, and the universe has one here. So it's like, all right, you didn't get the ace. I'm going to give you two aces. I'm going to give you partnership. I'm going to give you something better. Are you still stuck in your head? I hope not. The next one is the Six of Cups, which is friendship, love, and partnership. So let's get to that one instead. That's the fun one. Whatever you're going through right now, it's not the end. Like I said, it's like the other side of a black hole. It's the beginning. Okay. That was a good one that you guys voted on. Let's go now to Sun, Rising, and Moon. As I said earlier, you can use it for all parts of your chart, but I focus on these three. Most readers, myself included, like to look at this for ourselves, and we also recommend that you look at Sun, Rising, and Moon. Gives you a full, balanced look at your life. All right, let me shuffle the cards and see what the messages are for you. For those of you saying you're not a Gemini but getting messages, I read as just a medium and an intuitive. So anybody that shows up to the readings is going to get messages. So you're always welcome to show up to all of mine. Actually, it's good to have you here. All right. Sun, Rising, Moon. Okay. Let's begin with your sun sign messages. All right. We have the Knight of Wands in reverse. Lots of knights reversed. Lots of course correction going on, just like the Wheel of Fortune reversed. All right, so for the course correction, when we're looking at wands, it's really about saying to yourself, it's okay for me to change a line of thinking. I once thought that this was it or that this wasn't it, but now I've learned more and now I feel differently and now I'm going to change direction, change my mind, and it's not going to be the end of the world. This is also saying I'm not afraid to go back and fix something because I didn't know about that then. So this is really adjusting thoughts, actions, and direction, and maybe even sharing that with others, showing them, hey, I'm not afraid to admit that I learned, that I've grown, that maybe I did something wrong. It's the antithesis, actually, of this card, which is saying, I'm never wrong. You're wrong. So this is basically owning up to something, correcting it, and moving forward. You save time by fixing stuff. Any knight reversed will actually give you like double time because you're taking time to address a problem. Knights, pages reversed, they're actually good at saying, oh, okay. And this is also being bold and holding your ground. So if there's something that's really important to you and someone's trying to push you down a different path, you can even say, I once thought that way too. I did some research. This is the right thing for me. Please don't push me. So just stand your ground if you need to. You know best which direction to take. Take that direction. Don't doubt yourself. Things will be good. All right, let's take a look. Oh, one last thing, by the way. Well, yeah, I'll do it when I do the review. Okay, so looking now at rising, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So the Seven of Pentacles for rising and ascendant is saying, I learned from my mistakes. It's actually a little bit of what I just talked about here. So this is the next natural progression of this. I've learned from my mistakes and I'm not going to push myself in any direction. So very nice kind of connection between the two, actually. What I was going to say, I'll just say for this person. So with the Seven of Pentacles, growth and healing is happening, but there's only so much that you can do to speed up healing. It takes, this is something that was annoying, but it was true when I was healing my broken metatarsal. It did heal faster than they expected because I was working on meditating on it, but they said, to be honest, it takes about 12 weeks. And when you first hear that, you're like, 3 months? But you can start to walk on it after like 2 or 3 weeks. And then after, 2 months, it's much better. You graduate out of different things, but it really is even still, there's still pain. And they were right. I'm like, ugh. But what you can do is aid in the healing by not overdoing it. And that's something that I had to learn. So I found that by exercising just enough, by not pushing myself, by getting proper shoes, by really just taking proper care of myself, the bone would heal faster. Diet, rest, and exercise, but not too much exercise. And I had to ask for help and lean on others. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't overstretch yourself. Do be patient with yourself and continue to work towards what your goal is. Seven of Pentacles, you're heading in the right direction. In the 9, we see the snail, which reminds us slow and steady wins the race. In the 7, we don't have that patience yet. We don't have that perspective yet. So be patient. You're doing okay, but you're still recovering and you still have limits and you could still go in either direction. So that's my advice there when it comes to time, money, and also the energy that you're investing in relationships, because that constitutes energy as well. You're trending in the right direction, but you don't want to overdo it. Not a bad message at all. This is coming up in Rising and Ascendant, which oftentimes plays out in work relationships as well. So again, having proper limits is going to be key. Focusing now on the moon. This is maybe the trickiest of the 3 that we're looking at, but we have the 3 of Swords. I read this today. And this 3 of Swords is unique. It's always cool to see different interpretations. I quite like this one, have to say. This one is showing that there's always a different way to say something. And sometimes in the way that we say it, it's going to make the difference between something being received well or something causing pain. So definitely weigh your words and your actions, but words in particular, because I'm looking at the 2 different types of owls, and I don't know if it's a raven. It looks like it might be a raven in the middle. Too small to be a crow, right? I don't know. Anyway, we see 3 birds of prey, each one of them carrying with them very different approaches towards going after what they want and very different vocalizations and flying. Actually, another fun thing, no accidents, just synchronicities. I was looking at a little documentary on the way that owls they're silent. They have these special feathers that muffle sound because speed isn't as important as silence, because they hunt at night. So they can be right over top of their prey and swoop in and they don't hear them. So silence can actually also constitute the painful piece here. So what I would say that's really important in this period of time is to say what you need to say. Maybe that you're hurt, maybe that you're sorry. Also weigh out your words before you speak in order to minimize misunderstanding. And then ultimately know that the Three of Swords is that push that we need. And I talked about this in today's card read. So sometimes we can have two different teachers, pleasure and pain. Pleasure is great because it feels good and it's a positive reinforcement. But pain is also a teacher. And when we experience it, just like the reflex, we're like, I won't do that again. That hurts, or I'm going to pull away from that. So if you were reaching out to grab like a coffee mug and it was hot, you would pull back. So if there's something in your life and it's causing pain, the Three of Swords is coming through to say, ouch, let's go in a different direction. Let's change our approach. But the other things that I mentioned hold true. Silence is deadly. So speak your truth, speak your mind, and really choose your words when you do that. Okay? So a more serious message here, but a very useful one. And ultimately, what follows the Three of Swords is very good. It's the Four of Swords. Rest, healing, and moving on. And ultimately, these are good things. Okay? All right. So we are now at the point where we're going to be taking a look at the meditation, the sound bath, and the final card in just a moment. Before I get into any of that, just a couple of quick reminders. If you've enjoyed this, if it's your first time here, do me a favor, like and subscribe. If you would like to also get reminders across social media, give me a follow. Remember to take a close look at my name, Nicholas Ashbaugh. Usually the fake ones will put numbers or spaces or misspell my name. They'll leave an H or a B or something out. So when in doubt, go to my website, my official website, and it's all there. And if you'd like to get back, please do. I appreciate it. Okay, so as we get ready for the meditation, let's look at the cards here and see what's going on here. All right, so in the cards, there is this understanding, like I said earlier, that it's not the end of the world, which I like. There's always the ability for growth and change. Let's see what else is coming through. Finding that perfect balance. I kind of feel like that's what I want to focus on for you, is finding the balance in your life. Let's help you also. It can be a combination of these, because we were looking at the seasonal energies here too. So maybe what it is a combination. It's all in this card, really. We'll look at this where we see there's this feeling of, I don't have it now, but I know I can create it. So let's go from winter to spring. We're going to do a meditation on spring, basically. And that's going to help you realize that things change, things shift, and you can find your balance. Okay, so close your eyes, please, and tune into your body before we do anything. So nice deep breath at your own pace. Stretch a little bit, letting go of any sort of tension. If you need to yawn, do that. If you need to sigh it out. And keep your eyes closed, focusing on your heart. I want you to just pay attention to the warmth, to the sound of your heart, to the understanding that it's almost like a metronome. It's keeping the beat. It's keeping you sustained through every stage of your life. Give it a little bit of love and say, thank you for working so hard. Focusing on the energy of the heart as it's pumping energy through you, pumping blood through you. Imagine that you could see this beautiful green energy around the heart as well. And in your mind's eye, imagine that you are in a springtime thaw, that in the distance you can see snow-capped mountains. You can see the vestiges of winter hanging on, a little bit of snow around a stream, a little bit of snow on some of the treetops, but you also see some grass that's starting to grow and push itself up out of the snow. You see crocuses coming up and saying, hey, it's spring, it's time. And imagine that before you is the angel of temperance. And she has one foot in the water and she has one foot on the land. And she's reaching out towards you. Normally she has two cups balancing everything out. But today she's reaching out to you and she's saying, take my hand and I'm going to help you find the balance within. And as you take the hand of temperance, you feel this sense of warmth and light, and you can see that magical green color of the heart start to paint the landscape. The trees start to form buds which open up, and you can see new leaves coming through. The blades of grass beneath you start to push through the snow and start to show their life and their light. The sun melts any vestiges of snow or ice and turns it into water. And around you, you see life and light and growth. You are understanding in this moment that balance is always your choice. You can always pull yourself towards that springtime energy. You can go from a place where you're not seeing it to where you are. And in this moment in time, use that green energy of the heart. Abundance, love, and healing is also part of that too. And imagine that you could paint that in any part of your life where it doesn't exist. In your relationship area, in your work, or even in your sort of personal growth. So as I play the singing bowl here in just a moment, imagine that green energy is radiating from your heart, radiating from the bowl, and it's finding its way into the parts of your life that require healing and abundance. All right. Feeling now that you are in the warmth now almost of summertime, beautiful light shining through your crown chakra, green everywhere that the eye can see. Allow yourself to just feel that you are worth all of this and then some. On the next natural exhale, I'd like you to open your eye, or open your eyes, your third eye and your two physical eyes, and focus on the question that you have for me. And hold that question in your heart. Again, eyes open, heart open, focusing on the question, and let's see what the answer is here. Okay, now we have all three balance cards here. We have the Two of Pentacles, which I mentioned earlier. So this card was reversed, but if we look at it in the upright position, we see sort of this game of seesaw, right? The interesting thing on this one, it almost feels like the two of them are almost going to crack open that seed or that nut beneath them. And so for some of you, you've been putting a lot of time and energy in something else or someone else when you have what it takes. It's like right beneath you, or this is kind of creating tension or pressure that's taking away from the big picture. So with the Two of Pentacles, if we were to just look at the two characters here, they're both holding an opportunity or an energetic investment, and they're really asking you, which one? What do you want? There's discernment right now. And a question. So if you're asking me a yes/no question, I would say to you, with the Two of Pentacles in reverse here, it's saying spend more time and energy in something that feels like it supports you. I'm going to show you the traditional Two of Pentacles while we're talking, just so you can see the balancing aspect of it. You can spend a little bit of time trying to get everything done for everybody, but you can't sustain in that. So this is really saying when you make a choice, when you state what matters most for you, then you show your power, and then you can also put a lot more energy behind something. So I think it's time to put something to rest and focus more on something else. And in doing so, you're going to feel more balanced. You're going to feel healthier. Here we go. And things are going to be a lot easier for you. So we see this person not quite on firm ground. We see the almost rubber band energy between these two pentacles pulling at that person. And we also see the waves behind them. So there's easy days and there's not so easy days. Once you commit, once you say this, not that, then you're firmly in that ace card, which is going to create stability. So you also got Justice, which is balance, and you also got Six of Pentacles, which is balance. So you got all three cards that show balance. So the number one thing of what I can talk about for everybody, no matter what your question is the important thing is that it brings you closer to balance. Even Temperance, she's like the fourth one because she's in and out. So all of these cards are saying, how committed are you? How much is that investment paying off? And at the end of the day, does this make you feel more or less yourself, more or less happy, more or less balanced? These simple questions can help you make the best decision, because if it's taking you out of your power, out of your comfort, out of your happiness, it's probably not the best path. But with the Two of Pentacles, you always have two aces. Choose one, act accordingly, and see growth happen. Okay? There you go. All right. That, my friends, brings the primary part of this reading to a close. I always like to take a couple minutes here at the end and say thank you. Before I do, by the way, since we have all of these messages around balance, do me a favor on replay when this is available right afterwards, and put a little picture of the scales in a comment and say, this is what I'm focusing on creating balance in. That helps with engagement, plus it's fun and I like to see what people are doing. So there you go. Okay, now let me just say thank you. If it's your first time, first of all, welcome. I see a lot of members here today, so thank you to everybody that has the green text in the chat room. I see you and I appreciate you. I'm going to welcome any new members and then thank anybody that gave back with a super sticker or super chat, and then we'll wrap up for today. A reminder that I do an everyday reading, the daily one. So if these are too long for you, those daily ones are 1 minute. So that's a nice amount of sort of information to come through. And then I also do monthly and weekly ones. So Monday, Thursday, Friday, I'm live, and Sundays I'm also live, and I'm usually pretty much on time on Sundays around 9 to 9:15. And I do a pretty in-depth reading. So tune in this weekend if you get a chance. Okay, so let's start with the members for today. Let's see, Gabrielle, thank you so much. Brand new member, good to have you here. Ali Spencer, thank you for rejoining after a month. Dawn Melody, thank you for being a brand new member. And I think, well, I'll say Laura, thank you very much. I think some of these people were from yesterday too, but I'll say Laura, welcome. Stacia, welcome. And I know that everyone else I welcomed yesterday. So thanks, folks. I appreciate it. Super stickers and super chat. Let's see if anyone gave back today. We have a couple, so thank you, Tahoe. I appreciate it for all the lucky ones. Thanks. You're the best too. PIM Stranch. I don't know how to say that, but thank you so much for your sticker. I appreciate that. And Danielle, thank you as well. I hope you all enjoyed today's reading. It was definitely, for me, it was a lot of fun. I definitely felt the energy. Thanks for giving me a chance to get a little more rest. It helps. Because at the end of the day, I have to have enough energy to channel all of this. So I was like, you need some more sleep this morning, Nicholas. You're going to get it. I'd rather show up with quality for all of you. Thank you very much for your love and support. Happy New Year. I'll see you again, possibly later today. I'd like to do a new moon reading. Full moon reading, because we're in a full moon. It's actually an interesting one where it's a smaller full moon than usual. And I tried doing a pre-recorded one and it doesn't feel right. I do want to keep it shorter, so I'll probably only pull 5 cards, but if I can get the right energy, I might do it recorded. Otherwise, I'll just do a quick live in the afternoon after I've run some errands. Anyway, lots of love and light to all of you. I'll definitely see you on the weekend. Until then, take care of yourselves and have a great week ahead. I'm going to go take Mr. Fluffy back there, Apollo, for a walk. All right, guys, thanks. Bye-bye.